Good morning, everybody. Well, it feels like I should say I'm back, but Nancy and I took a little vacation in Key West this past several days, but we weren't really missing the show, and we were here again. So here we are, your auto How Not to Get Ripped Off by a Car Dealer team. In the studio, we've got Rick Kearney sitting to my right, and a lot of you folks out there I know are thinking about keeping your cars because cars are so darn expensive today, and you're waiting for prices to come down. That's not a bad idea. You want to keep that car going without having to go and shell out a bunch of money for a new or late model used car? Call Rick Kearney right here at 877-960-9960. That's our call-in number, and we do prioritize that call-in number. We've got about, I think, 5 lines coming into the studio here in North Palm Beach, Florida. And we get a whole lot more communications other ways, like on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and we even have an anonymous feedback line, youranonymousfeedback.com. We have a text line, 772-497-6530. But our favorite, and it's just personality. I mean, telephones, I know, are not used as much as telephones. They're used as texters and Facebook and the rest of it. It's a computer you carry in your hand. But the old-fashioned telephone, ring, 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 hello, we don't use that as much as we used to. It's not as efficient, but it's a warmer. It's more fun. When we get calls from all over the world, and certainly all over the United States, you get we have some calls that are just funny people, and we love to laugh. So if you're one of those folks that isn't afraid to speak in front of 20 or 30,000 people live, I probably just terrified you, the ones who are getting ready to call. Give us a call.
Well, Howard's not afraid.
No.
And he's calling us from Jupiter.
Holy mackerel. That's great, Howard. Thank you.
Good morning, Howard.
Actually, I'm calling you from the Bronx.
What's up, Howard?
Okay. Here's what happened. I got the fuel line in. The mechanic was able to get a fuel line, put it in, but the battery was depleted because when the fuel line was broken, for some reason, I left the not the engine running, but I probably hit something, so the battery got depleted. The mechanic says he charged up the battery and there's no problem. But I just purchased the battery in May, so I went over to AutoZone and they checked it. Said the battery's good, but the alternator is good. The guy said, I'm not a mechanic. So I said, how is it possible? The car runs, it starts up great. I don't have those telltale signs of the bad battery with the light dimming and things. And I checked the level with the hydrometer. It's not a hydrometer. It checks the battery water level on each cell, and the cells are great. So I don't know how the alternator could be bad.
Good question. Rick's got the answer, I bet.
Well, the simplest way, do you have a voltmeter?
That's my question. I don't have a voltmeter, but cars used to have amp meters, and they disappeared.
Right.
Would an amp meter tell me anything?
Now, the best way that I have found to test an alternator without actually having a specialized machine to do a load test on it is a simple $10 voltmeter. You can get them from Amazon. I used to say Radio Shack, but they're not around anymore. And basically, you just turn it to DC volts and put the 2 leads right to the battery terminals, and you should see, with the engine off, you should see somewhere around 12.5 volts. With the engine running, you should see anywhere from 13.5 to 14 volts, which tells you that the alternator is working and it's charging and it's pushing voltage into the battery. And that's really just the simplest quick check. The only thing you really need is, like I say, a $10 voltmeter.
I didn't think anything cost $10 today. Is that right? $10 for a voltmeter?
Well, that's for a halfway decent one.
Yeah.
A really expensive one, several $100s. A really cheapo one, $8, $9, around there.
Yeah. I'll take the cheap.
Okay, here's what I've been doing. I've been letting the car sit for 2 days, and I have my it's not a hydrometer. It checks the cells in the battery. I pull up the acid, and it shows that it's the battery is in great condition. So
Well, your battery probably came back just fine, but if the alternator's getting a little weak, you may want to stop somewhere and just have them put a machine on the alternator to make sure your alternator's testing right.
But you said you could do that with a voltmeter because it'll show a couple of volts more when the engine's running. So, Howard, you can check it. You can check your alternator, just checking the battery with the motor running and with the motor not running.
Yep.
And it should be like 12 volts or 13 or 14 with motor running.
And as a matter of fact, I'm looking just on Amazon here. They've got a digital multimeter, which is a voltmeter, for $13.
God, wow. Digital multimeter.
Yep.
Great. Okay, thanks for the information. I'll be seeing you guys. Got to make an appointment. I'll be seeing you guys the second week of November.
Sounds good. We'll be looking for you, Howard.
Thanks for the call, Howard. And good luck finding your multimeter. And give us a call again.
I will. Bye.
877-960-9960, or you can text us 772-497-6530. We're going to stay with the phones because we have Richard calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning. How you doing?
We're well, thank you.
So in May, I bought a new car from Napleton Acura MDX. All right, great car. Have no problem with it.
Uh-huh.
Now comes time for my oil change. Went there, made an appointment. Took a reasonable length of time, not a problem. I come home and I read the bill, and it says semi-synthetic oil.
Say that again.
The bill said semi-synthetic oil.
Semi-synthetic oil.
What is semi-synthetic, Rick?
Usually it's a mix between the synthetic and the dyno oil or fossil oil.
I didn't know why. That makes sense, but why do they? Is that just like a way to get a little bit cheaper synthetic oil?
It may be just their wording for it. Is the oil that they used, is it from Acura?
No. Oh, absolutely not. Nothing from there. Not even the oil filter was Acura. It's all knockoff stuff.
Wow.
Where you had that done at the Acura dealership and they used that?
So I called up Acura of America or whatever name they use, and I asked them if they recommend semi-synthetic oil. They said no.
Oh, boy.
So I called back Acura. No, I didn't call them. They ended up calling me because I put a complaint in.
Sure.
And I told them that I wanted them, I was afraid to drive the car because who knows, what would happen. And I don't want them to blame me if the engine goes bad. To pick up the car, and I want 5 quarts of real oil, and I want to see the containers. All right, and that was it. They never called me back.
Well, Richard, you just touched on one of the long-standing disputes between car dealers and between the manufacturers, and it's very unusual to see a car dealer violate that today because there are very few things that a manufacturer can terminate a car dealer for or actually control a car dealer. But one thing they really have not given up on is when you have a car and you buy a new Acura or a Ford or whatever it is the manufacturer builds, they want you to use genuine parts in the vehicle at least during the warranty period. And if you don't, if you use a aftermarket, we call it, if the manufacturer doesn't make it or brand it, then it's called aftermarket. So you get a cheap oil filter that's not doing the job, you can have some serious problems with the engine. And then, of course, the manufacturer will deny the warranty. So Napleton, according to this report you've given us, is not only using the oil that's not specified by Honda, which is Acura, a Honda Acura, but they're also not using the oil filters. Those are two of the most important things that you need to be careful of having quality parts, or if you want to call it oil apart. But otherwise, you burn the engine up. I mean, there's not much more expensive on a car than having to put a whole new engine in. So, yeah, that's you did exactly the right thing. You called the manufacturer, and I'm sure they really lit in to Napleton Acura. Now, of course, the reason Napleton Acura does that is you can buy a cheap or an aftermarket oil filter for half the price or less than what the manufacturer charges. To stick up for the dealers a little bit, I believe that the prices charged to the dealer by the manufacturers are quite high. And then when they turn around and sell you, the consumer, the driver of the car, the dealer sells you, they mark it up by at least 40%. Sometimes they double the price of the cost. So it's economics, it's inflation, it's a lot of things weighing in there. But it's unusual, and you've exposed something unusual, fortunately, for a dealer to be using on a new car non-factory parts. Rick?
Now, doesn't Acura have a maintenance program where, like, the first several services are paid for by the manufacturer?
I bought it, but it's not from Acura. Then I since found out that the warranty that I bought is not an Acura warranty; it's a Napleton warranty.
I see. Yeah. That doesn't.
So
surprise-
I need a
that
lawyer. I really need a lawyer if you have one.
Yeah.
I'd like to contact one.
The reason Rick asked that question is most of the make cars today, and most of the manufacturers provide some amount of no charge maintenance. Partly because there's not a whole lot of maintenance required. You get your oil changed every 10,000 miles or once a year, and that's not much. And so it's interesting to learn that Acura doesn't have that. I thought they did. Richard, let's Google that and be absolutely sure that Acura doesn't provide you with some maintenance for the first 1 or 2 years.
Well, I think he might have bought the car
It doesn't
as
really make any difference.
a used car.
because I
Oh,
bought
okay.
them
This is a used
for the
Acura.
First 5,000 mile service.
Okay. Well, is this a used car, Richard?
No, brand new.
Brand new, yeah.
Absolutely brand new.
Yeah. So
Terrible.
I think we'll Google this for you, and maybe we can find out that you do have free maintenance. If you have free maintenance, you're really getting Napleton Acura in trouble, because if Acura is giving free maintenance and they're using cheap oil and cheap oil filters and charging Acura, you've got a violation of their franchise agreement that would probably allow Honda/Acura to cancel Napleton in that franchise. So it's a pretty serious accusation and pretty serious offense. And I don't see my Googlers coming up with anything yet, but we'll
Well,
continue.
I can tell you one thing, Richard, while they look for that information. I'm telling you, it's callers like you that make our show, and it's just one more way to expose what's going on out there. And there's just another new event and how you have to protect yourself. And even if you do protect yourself when you go into a dealership, we are listening to your call. And do you know how many people are listening to you? And for that, you're
enough.
a great caller.
Not
Lawyer? I think that comes into the subject, most definitely. And they just didn't expect you to be as educated, and knowledgeable as you are. So did anybody get that information for Richard?
Yeah, it says Acura maintenance package covers certain factory scheduled maintenance on select eligible vehicles for 2 years or 24,000 miles. So apparently Acura only gives free maintenance on select eligible vehicles.
I think that's a broad term. I think
Operative word.
Yeah.
I think they do. I'm almost sure, Richard, that you should not have been charged for that. And
Yeah.
Oh, no, they didn't charge me. No.
oh, they did not charge you. Okay. Now, so there you go. That's even a more egregious offense by Napleton Acura, because they're being reimbursed by Honda Acura for the maintenance that they perform, and they make the requirement, and they assume that they're meeting the requirement of the dealer, that the dealer is buying the oil and the oil filters from Honda Acura because they're giving you that free. Now Honda Acura is paying for a third-party aftermarket oil filter and oil. So a very serious violation of Napleton Acura's franchise agreement, and you've exposed that. So I don't think you need a lawyer. I think you probably put the fear of God into Napleton Acura when you called Acura and reported them.
Well, I told them that I wanted them to pick up my car with a flatbed, bring it there, change the oil, and I want to see the old quart cans.
Yeah.
I want Acura oil, and then I want the car brought back.
Good for you.
From them again.
Good for you. Well, you not only got their attention, but you got Napleton's attention. And I tell you, somebody's calling a lawyer now. It might be Acura Honda to say how can we get rid of this guy. If he's if he's doing this, he's probably doing it in a deeper manner, probably buying cheap Taiwanese parts or Chinese parts or whatever, and then charging Honda for them. Mm-hmm. Not good.
Well, I also bought an extended warranty, but evidently it's probably a Napleton extended warranty.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. I'm a car dealer. We have a Toyota dealership, and we have our own warranty company. A lot of dealers do that. I always recommend that if you're going to buy an extended warranty, buy the manufacturer's extended warranty. That way, you don't have to worry about the fine print. You'll get a legitimate warranty, extended warranty.
When we bought the car, they did not tell us.
They did not tell you. Well, it's
they didn't say, "Oh, this is our warranty." This is, I assume I went to an Acura dealer. I was buying an Acura warranty.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, sure.
Well, you bought a car from one of the most infamous car dealers in the United States. He's the target of the Federal Trade Commission. He settled a very large lawsuit by the Federal Trade Commission for charging hidden fees to customers. And there's been a lot of, he's always in the news. Napleton, never a dull moment with Napleton. You can always find something in automotive news or even the Wall Street Journal.
You think by now he'd be exhausted, but he definitely isn't. He's just getting warmed up. And there's a lot of people that are, a lot of consumers that are being taken advantage of. Richard, we can't thank you enough for this call. This is a very important call that exposes, them for whom they are.
Well, dishonesty. I suppose it's dishonesty.
I don't have a solution.
Yeah.
You have not given me a solution.
You
can do that.
You want to know whether you need a lawyer or not.
Well, temporarily, I would recommend you find another Acura dealer, and I think that it's very unusual. For people to do that, that's really extreme, and for dealers to do that, I don't even think that Ed Napleton, the owner, knows a lot of this is going on. He has too many dealerships. He doesn't pay too much attention to what's going on. And you put people in charge, and they do the wrong thing, and they get you in trouble. So he's in trouble now with Acura Honda, and you did the best thing you could do. You exposed him to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer can cause Napleton more misery than anyone else, even the Federal Trade Commission.
Okay, well, sounds good, but I still don't have a solution.
Well, your solution is go to a different dealer. This is in North Lake Boulevard, or is it West Palm Beach area?
They're on Okeechobee.
Okeechobee, yeah. There's
the one on Okeechobee.
Yeah, there's probably I know there's a Acura dealer in Delray. That's a long way to go, so that might be a problem.
That's Staluppi's.
Yeah, Stupid, yeah.
Thanks, Stu.
Okay. Well, Richard, thanks a lot, and keep us posted on that.
Great call.
You should be getting some communication from Acura on your complaint, and they should tell you that from now on, the Napleton Acura dealer will be providing you the Acura parts and not putting in cheap aftermarket parts.
And Richard, please give us a call again. Let us know what's going on, because I'm listening to you say you weren't given a solution. Well, we may have to, us here at Earl Stewart on Cars, have to move forward with you, giving you other information, other alternatives that's going to get somebody's attention. Give us a call again, Richard.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. We are going to stay with the phones, and we're going to go to New Jersey, and we are going to talk to Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Good morning,
morning.
Steve.
Good morning, everyone. Steve from New Jersey. I'm a long-time listener and frequent texter. I do have a question, though, for Rick this morning. I have a 2007 Lexus ES350 that I bought New Year's ago and I've had maintained by the dealer since. And in the last week or so, I started to get a message on my screen when I start the car, and it stays on. It's called Check VSC, and then I have two light indicators that come on: check engine, and I think it's the ABS indicator.
Mm-hmm.
What could that be?
Well, the VSC is your vehicle stability control, which that's a system that works along with the ABS system, the anti-lock brakes, so that when you're driving, if you get into a skid situation or too much body roll, the car will try to correct that by controlling the brakes and the throttle to try to get you back under control. If you've got lights coming on for that, I would immediately get into a dealership or a good reputable shop that you can trust.
Really, and I have an appointment with the dealer for this Monday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was trying to be cautious about that. I also noticed, though, I used it a little bit just to see around town what would happen. And for the most part, the lights stayed on every time I used the car. But a few times, the lights didn't come on at all. So it seems like it's also sporadic. And I do have a follow-up, though. I know that my car battery, I've had to change the car battery between every 4 or 5 years or so. Mm-hmm. And I know it's coming up in about that time frame. Could a car battery that's a little weak cause this as well?
That's always a possibility. Because of the amount of computers that are in most cars, if the battery system, the electrical system gets really low on voltage, it can cause all kinds of weird issues with the computers. And that's one of the things that they should be checking when they pull the codes and check your car out for you.
Okay. And one last question. Could my gas cap have anything to do with this at all if it doesn't seal properly?
No, the gas cap could cause a check engine light if it's not sealing properly, but it definitely would not cause any ABS or vehicle stability control issues.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the information, and like I said, I've been listening to you guys for a very long time. A year or two ago, when I bought my Volvo, I went through the whole experience of my delivery with the wrong wheels on, and you guys helped me a lot, and I appreciate that. So have a nice day, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks.
We appreciate you, Steve, and thank you for listening to Earl Stewart on Cars. Give us a call again, 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget, ladies, $50 for the first two new lady callers. $50. Give us a call. And your question, or just to introduce yourself. Also, don't forget your anonymous feedback. That's your anonymous feedback. Take advantage of that. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
I've got to compliment Rick. I tell you, he's been on the show with us for years, and he just knows a lot of stuff. I mean, it's really amazing. If I were in your seat, meaning you at home, listening to the show, boy, take advantage of Rick's knowledge. He really, Stu and Nancy and I mean, we're all, doing this every week. We learn from Rick. I mean, if I do this show long enough, maybe I could be a certified master diagnostic. Nah, I could never do
Be an
that.
apprentice.
I'm apprentice. I'm an apprentice where, Stu and Nancy and I are apprentices, and even Jonathan. I mean,
Well, we've never gotten actual
I
grease,
learn
grease in our
stuff,
hands.
it just amazes me. And Rick never hesitates, and I check him sometimes. Sometimes I
Oh,
just
you check him.
I check him, yeah.
You
Google it.
contradict him sometimes.
Anyway, Rick Kearney, certified diagnostic master technician, and if you've got a car that's got a squeak, rattle, or roll, you smell something. I mean, let's face it, everybody's car, has some little thing. And Rick knows what it is. He'll tell you what it is. Just tell him the year, make, model, and he'll tell you what it is. So,
I got a question for Rick.
yeah.
I drive a 2022 4Runner, and I have everything as factory on it. You've seen the car. My windshield wipers are terrible, and the car is only 8 months old, and they skip and rattle and make noises and squeak on my windshield, and I hate that. And that's a Toyota genuine windshield wiper blade. What's going on?
First thing I would do is make sure you got the windshield squeaky clean.
All right, it's not clean.
Yeah, a lot, 90% of the issues with windshield wipers are the residue that gets on your windshield,
So good cleaning.
especially here in Florida. It just, for some reason, the glass seems to pick up stuff, and those wipers just bounce and skip on it.
Yeah.
Scrubbing the windshield, best thing.
I'm going to correct Rick. So here, I'm just bragging
He
on
was
him.
on Consumer Reports this morning.
No.
Yeah. Excuse me. I want to tell you, I just had that problem,
So-
and I solved it.
So
All right,
what?
I wanna hear
So Nancy was complaining about her windshield wipers, and wanted to know if they'd been changed, or and turns out they did change the windshield wipers. They put on factory Toyota windshield wipers, and Nancy's still having the same problem. So I said something to our service manager, Mark Feldman, and Mark said, "I'm going to put on the kind of windshield wipers I like." So I don't even know what they are.
So go see Mark.
He used aftermarket.
Aftermarket.
Here I am lambasting Honda Acura for using aftermarket, but our own service manager at our dealership put on the windshield wipers he liked, and Nancy loves them, right?
I love them. I love them.
So now we got to find out.
Rick was getting to that. He says, and if the windshield's is not the problem, maybe try some silicone or some fancy aftermarket ones, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
If anybody knows what windshield wipers Mark Feldman, the service manager at Earl Stewart Toyota, uses or likes better than Toyota windshield wipers, please let me know.
I'm going to ask him about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Rick's
I
going to
wanna
get to
know.
he's going to get to the bottom of this.
Now I'm going to get in trouble
Well, but
with
if they
Toyota because I just said that Napleton is going to get in trouble with Honda, and now I'm doing the same thing. So-
No, you're not. You're not telling someone that you put in factory parts and then put in cheap aftermarket parts to save a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You're simply recommending a product that actually performs better than the factory product.
You're going to be
Exactly.
my lawyer when they
Exactly.
come after me.
I will
My
do it.
client.
I'll be
But
a
I want to
witness.
find out what he uses because I'm going to use them on mine and my wife's cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have such a problem in our neighborhood with keeping the windshield clean that
it's-
it
With your
was,
neighborhood in Stu's, I bet it's a salt air.
it's a lot of construction.
That too.
They're tearing
Yep.
things down, putting things up, and it is the salt air.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having a great time here this Saturday morning. But again, as I always say, you make the show. Give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530.
And one
before
quick
we get
opinion
to
from
our
Negan 1.
I'm gonna interrupt you for a minute, Rick. Everybody that's holding right now, I will be right with you.
Negan 1, who's out in Arizona, deals with a lot of dust and dirt. He says PIAA, P-I-A-A, silicone wipers work very well.
Is that right?
Say that again.
It's
PIA?
PIAA
PIA.
is the company name, I'm guessing, silicone wipers.
silicone wipers.
And Negan, I know for a fact, does a lot of off-road driving out there in sandy, dusty, dirty conditions. So if he's recommending them, I'd bet there's some good
I'd be
quality
willing.
there.
Yeah, I'd like to try those. I'm going to look for them. PIAA.
Yep.
Silicone windshield wipes. Okay, we're going to get back to the phones, and we have Millie, who's calling us from Jupiter. Everybody else, just hold on. Good morning, Millie.
Good morning.
Have you called us before,
I have not.
Millie?
I've actually tried to get your number, but usually I'm driving and I can't get the number quick enough. So this morning I'm home and I turned the radio on and got the number.
Oh,
So,
great. I'm glad you tuned in. You won yourself $50 this morning, Millie, for being the first female new caller. Congratulations. If you stay on the line and talk to Jeremy in the control room, he can get your information, your contact information, and I can get you that check ASAP.
Okay.
Okay, so what can we do for you this morning?
Actually, I basically just wanted to let you guys know how happy I am with Earl Stewart. I started going to Earl Stewart in 2011. I had a Solera that I bought.
Oh, boy,
from
hang on
Stewart
to that.
Toyota up in Stewart, and actually Mark Feldman at the time worked there, and I always had, like a good outcome whenever I took the car there for service. And then after 11 years, the Solera was still a good car, but I thought I kept seeing the Camry, so I went with the Camry, and I went to Earl Stewart, your dealership. And I think I got a 2011, a 2014. I always got a black car, and I bought a green, beautiful Camry, and everybody was like, you're not going to be happy. But I did, and I wasn't, so I went back to the black car. And I just recently, in July, bought a 2022 RAV4.
Wow. Boy,
Wow.
you are a good customer.
So,
Well, thanks,
Yeah,
Millie.
yeah. And actually, I have to ask, back when I was a kid in 74 or 5, my dad worked for Stewart Pontiac. Was that also part of your...
Yeah, what's your dad's name?
Yeah.
My dad he passed away, John Applegate, and I bought from your dealership, or that dealership, a 68 Pontiac Firebird.
Wow.
My dad called one day and said...
That is so cool.
my
Yeah,
mom-
yeah. My father started that dealership in 1937, and I came in to business with him in 1968. So I worked there with your dad, and that was when we just had the Pontiac dealership, and then we added some other dealerships. Now we sold the Pontiac obviously because they don't exist anymore, and we're just a Toyota dealership. So, well, that was really cool. That's some great history, Millie.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
We didn't have cell phones back then, so he called my mom and he said, your dad wants you to come down, to where he works. They have a nice little Firebird, and of course, it was beautiful. So I ended up, at the time I worked at a bank, and I, got the car and loved that. But anyway, I just basically wanted to let you guys know that, I love your dealership.
Well,
Oh,
thank you.
thanks, Millie. And thanks for that walk down memory lane. You went from, you said that you had the Solera. I have to ask you this. Was it a convertible?
No. No,
okay.
because I don't have a garage, and I just, with my dad and my brother, you don't want a convertible in the Florida sun. You have no way of getting it out of the sun. So I just put it out of my head. A friend of mine got one. It was red with a white convertible, and I was a little envious, but that was okay. I still had this Solera.
Yeah, I used to love that. I still do, the Solera. What a great car.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, there are none. They quit making them.
I know.
But
yeah, every once in a while when I see them, it was a beautiful car, but that was probably the only car that I kept for more than 2 or 3 years.
oh, really?
Yeah, I kept it for 11 years.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow.
It was a 2000. Mm-hmm.
The old days.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
Millie, I want to thank you for the call, and don't forget to leave your contact information, and I hope to hear from you again and spread the word to the ladies.
Actually, I have. My daughter bought a Highlander from you guys, and then a friend of mine, her and her daughter, and she's talking about getting a new one, too. So I said, well, you know where to go, which she already does. So.
Yeah, let your lady friends know that first 2 new lady callers can win themselves $50.
Okay.
Have a
I will.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, that number is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Your anonymous feedback take advantage of that. Rick's here, Stu's here, YouTube, text to Facebook. We're all ready for you. And we are going to go to our next caller, and I believe that is Nancy calling from Palm Springs. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. It's nice speaking with you.
It's nice to hear from you.
My concern is I have a son that's a Toyota driver, and he lives in Texas. And he was looking to replace his Toyota truck, so he went down to San Antonio from where he lives for an advertised on the internet Toyota pickup truck. And when he got there, he called right before he left to go down, and they said, yep, the truck is still on the lot. And when he got there, they told him, oh, it just sold. And so my concern is, do a lot of dealerships do that, bait with a vehicle that's never been on the lot, and then when the person gets there, they'll try to sell them something else? Of course, my son, in total disgust, just drove off and left.
Oh, that's good. That happens a lot.
Practice?
That happens a lot.
It does.
Okay,
What's
Earl.
the best procedure to...
Yeah. One of the best things to do is to if you know you have that that's the vehicle you want and you've researched it online, you can actually ask them to say you'd like to buy it online. That way you don't have to drive all the way down there, and you're going to be asking them for information, a VIN number, and other legal things that they would have to furnish to you. It might not prevent them from baiting and switching or trying to bait and switch, but when someone starts asking those probing questions, and I say ask, I would just do it online, but if you're on the phone and have to do it that way, that's better than driving 20 miles or 100 miles, finding out they bait and switched you and they never had the vehicle in the first place. But when you find a vehicle that you want, the VIN number specifically identifies that vehicle. And if you confirm in writing, texting or email, and they tell you it's there, it's a pretty serious offense. You have them lying in writing, and that most car dealers won't go that far. They'll say, "Oh, you must have misunderstood me," and then they will go through the effort to try to switch you to another car. But unfortunately, as you say, bait and switch is alive and well, especially among car dealers.
Okay, I appreciate that information. That'll help him follow up with that, and I'll call and let him know to see if he did that, because he's looking for a pretty old truck, and I really think he should look for something newer. He has a 2006 Toyota Tacoma with an extended cab, and he loves it, and he just wants to get another one with less miles.
Nancy,
but I don't think he's going to have much luck finding that on a Toyota dealership lot, would he?
Well, he'll probably find it, but the prices are going to be very high. Used car prices have start to come down a little bit. The big thing I wanted to have you advise your son about is if you're shopping online, he's probably using Auto Trader or Cars.com or a number of other third-party sources that list vehicles in dealer inventories. Auto Trader is by far the biggest. The common offense of all these third-party sources for finding cars on dealer lots is the fact that they do not disclose the hidden fees. So they'll tell you there's a specific, could be a 2016 Toyota Tacoma truck for a certain amount of money, X number of thousands of dollars. What they don't tell you is they have $2,000 or $3,000 in hidden fees. So advise your son, if he does find the vehicle, the truck that he wants, get the out-the-door price. And the definition of an out-the-door price, well, the literal definition is literally out the door, including government fees. Most dealers should be able to give you the price that they would only add government fees to. Government fees being sales tax and license plate. Those are the only two legitimate after-the-fact charges that you should have on a new or used vehicle. So almost every dealer in the United States has multiple fees. They call them the generic term is dealer fees, but they call them dock fees, tag agency fees, electronic filing fee, administrative fee, just any number of different fees. So before you drive a long way into the dealership, they tell you, we have your car. Be sure he gets the out-the-door price. Write it down, confirm it in writing.
Good. I'll advise him to do that. I really appreciate your advice on that. Thank
Sure
you so
thing.
much.
Are you a first-time caller?
I am, Nancy.
Oh, fantastic. You can stay on the line and talk to Jeremy in the control room.
Okay.
Let him, jot down your contact information. He'll pass that along to me, and I'll send you out a check for $50. I have to add to what Earl said. This right now is the climate that we're living in. It's a great time to hang on to your old vehicle. You can tell your son you can pass this information along to him. Go to Earl on Cars. Earl has so many columns right there that will help him decide whether or not, he wants or has to buy a new car, a new truck. And there's an amazing amount of information that will definitely, guide him in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Nancy. Spread the word. I'd love to hear from you again or some of your lady friends. Have a wonderful Saturday.
You too. Bye now.
Bye-bye. 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. We are still going to stay with the phones. We're pretty busy this morning.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Bob in West Palm Beach. And Bobby, I will be right with you just as soon as you're next in line. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
We're great. Welcome.
Thank you. I got a question for Rick.
Very good.
My 2015 Mustang is throwing off a code for the gas cap, and I was wondering how I can resolve that.
Pretty much the simplest method. Pop a new gas cap on there.
Whoa. I have no gas cap on that car. Didn't come with one.
Was it an accessory?
Didn't tire either.
That was an option.
I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with their systems, I'm guessing.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 15 Mustang?
Oh, and they don't have a gas cap?
No gas caps.
You stick
No,
the...
they haven't used those for years. I think.
Is that right?
Oh, okay. So they must have like a flap sealing system?
Yes.
But what you've got then is a code for an evap leak.
I'm pretty sure it's the cap. I was going to attempt. I bought some silicone spray, clear silicone spray, and I was going to clean it in there. And they give you a little plastic thing that comes with the car to, if you ever have to put gas in there, to push in the flap.
Okay.
I was going to work that in a little bit. I did see a YouTube video on it. It's not that uncommon. I was just wondering if you ever ran across it before.
No, because Toyota's sticking with the old tried and true gas cap that can seal, and when the seals break down and the gas cap starts not functioning properly, it's about aftermarket you can get one for around $15 to $20. Dealership they're $35 to $40.
Yeah.
And
well, we learned something, Bob. We didn't know. I never heard of a car without a gas cap, so I just heard about one.
There are some.
Yeah, and besides Ford, who else does that?
I would have to research on that to find out who else going that route. But for the long run, what you're actually looking at is you've got a code coming up that's actually for an emissions leak. It means the emission system is seeing a leak somewhere, and if it is that gas entry point, since you don't have a cap, obviously it would have to be that flapper valve. Once you get that to seal properly, I would not worry about the code, let it go, and drive the car for a while. Normally what happens is after the engine has run the diagnostic sequence itself, it self-tests the evap system, usually once every couple of days. It's when the car has been sitting for a couple hours.
Right.
Then it will run a self-test on the evap system, and as long as it passes, then it will turn the light off. and usually after it has seen a passing score on it, say 20 or 30 times in a row, then it completely erases all the old codes that it had stored in history in memory.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, because that car didn't come with a spare tire either. No spare tire, no gas cap.
Well, I'm just Googling that, and I'm learning
Interesting.
something new thanks to you, Bob. There's a whole lot of cars out there that are going gas capless.
Your car went gas capless.
Is it?
Yeah, you don't have a
That's
gas
an electric car, yeah.
there's no gas cap.
Very good, thank you. Anyway,
And, Earl, I did, Mr. Stewart,
yeah.
I was able to, after I went over to your dealership, I was able to go ahead and go to 2 other dealerships to get trade-in values on the Mustang.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to let you know I got substantially higher trade-in offers.
How much higher? That's always
Much,
interesting.
much higher.
Yeah.
Okay, well, your place was $14,500,
Uh-huh.
and I went to Mullinax. They offered me $17,000.
Uh-huh.
Plus, they were trying to get me to buy something on the lot, which I really didn't want.
Right.
So if I had agreed, it would have been worth another 6% of the sales tax. So that offer would have been worth $18,000, and CarMax offered me $17,000.
Wow, that's
So,
great.
Yeah, substantially higher. But it's a very time-consuming endeavor.
It is, yeah, but for $2,000 or $3,000, it's almost worth the time. No, it's a seller's market today with the used cars, and all you folks out there with trade-ins. No matter what the dealer that you're thinking about buying from gives you, shop yourself, and you got Vroom, VROOM, you got Carvana, you got WeBuyAnyCar.com, you got CarMax, and this is what Bob did. He went to the Ford dealer. For a Ford dealer will usually pay a little more for a Ford than a Pontiac than a Toyota dealer or a Honda dealer. So yeah, shop the used car department of the maker car you want to trade in, and you'd be surprised how much more you could get. Congratulations.
I think we dinged them for not having a gas cap.
Yeah, right.
The only thing I found that was a little bit unsettling is by the time you go around, you shop it to a number of places because of the shortage of vehicles. By the time you get back to get the vehicle, it could be gone because the cars are not sitting that long. Especially certain vehicles, if they're packaged a certain way, they'll only be on the lot for a day or two.
True.
They're gone.
Yeah, you're right.
So by the time you go around shopping a trade-in value to 3-4 places,
Yeah.
and you get back to buy the car, you might not be there.
Well, that's why we're advising not to buy a car now, because it's
Yeah.
just crazy. I mean, if you can just, buying the phone, but dealers that are keeping cars on their lots
Yeah.
are charging way too much.
And
for them.
Bob, you'd be surprised. I'm amazed. I'm an old guy, and I used to always yell at my used car managers praising cars. You got to look at the car, you got to touch it, smell it, feel it, drive it. You just can't be guessing about car prices. But the fact of the matter is, today, you can go online. You can go to Carvana, WeBuyAnyCar.com, CarMax, and you'll get on the telephone, online, email, you'll get quotes that are legitimate quotes. Now, they will ask you specifics about the car, but if you give them an accurate description, you tell them about the dings and the dents, the true mileage, and everything else they ask you, they will give you a buying figure online. So this is an answer to your question about how time-consuming it is to drive around, drive to CarMax, drive to Carvana, blah, blah. You can do it online, and that will say, in an hour and a half, you can probably get a half a dozen prices, and then you go into the dealer where you want to buy the car. That way you're not going to lose the car you want to buy.
Well, I tried that when my sister passed away. I had her car shipped down from Cambridge, Mass, and I was the executor of the estate, and I had to sell the car, obviously. And I tried that route, doing the Carvana, and we buy any car.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare. That was a nightmare. And the prices they were offering were ridiculously low.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they're basically just middlemen. They're going to turn around and sell that car to a dealer or somebody. So their prices. I wound up just selling it on my own.
Well, that's not accurate, Bob. A lot of these Carvana sells cars directly to the public. CarMax sells cars to the public, and you will get Mickey Moused around sometimes. But the whole point of what when you're shopping a car, you are going to see large variances. They won't all be high. Some of them will be low. And but if you go out and get an appraisal from a dealer, and they say this is what we're going to allow you on your car, and you go online, I almost guarantee you'll be able to find a better price. I mean,
This wasn't my
anyway, thanks for sharing your experience with us, Bob.
Yeah, they're interesting, Bob. It can be a nightmare. And I recall selling my own car, and you really have to be prepared to do something like that. Takes up a whole lot of your time. I think for you, I think that it would be a very successful. Bob, thanks for calling. Give us a call again.
Thanks, Rick.
My pleasure.
Okay. Have a great.
We're going to go, you're welcome. We're going to go to Bobby in West Palm Beach. And Julie, just hang on. We'll get right with you. Good morning, Bobby.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Welcome.
First, I want to clear up a misunderstanding from a call I made a couple of weeks ago. I called to tell the boss that Rick is very timely on answering emails and things like that, and that was a good compliment. Mm-hmm. But Earl jumped in and took the call, and I said I wanted to talk to the boss, so I was calling to talk to Nancy.
Well, I sincerely apologize. Excuse me.
I was calling today because I don't know much about leasing cars, but I've learned quite a bit on your show, and I learned something new this week, and I thought I'd share it. A friend of ours was having some medical issues, and her lease on her Audi SUV was coming due, and I'm telling her about it's a 2019, so the residual value, as you've been saying, is quite a bit lower than the actual retail price of the car right now. So I encouraged her to buy it, and also told her about if she had to buy a new car or lease a new car, she'd be paying substantially more. And so she was considering doing that, but the lease was coming up. And what I found out was if you call the leasing company, in this case VW Leasing is the leasing company for Audi, if you ask for an extension of your lease, they'll give it to you for up to like 6 months. And really all you have to do is ask.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's certainly an option, and some leasing companies won't do it. Some will do it. Some will give you 30 days. 6 months is really a good deal. I'm surprised that you got that good extension, but if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. So that's a very good suggestion.
And that's with there's no additional paperwork. It's the same price. You pay the same price you've been paying, which I was surprised by. I thought for sure they'd try to add something on, but they didn't. So I think that's an interesting thing for people that are sort of right at the end of a lease. If they call the leasing company, they can get that option oftentimes.
Exactly.
Now, I will say, Audi of West Palm Beach, which apparently is a Bremen dealer, is no help at all. And that's not surprising.
They want the car.
When I called.
Yeah, they don't want you to get an extension because they want to try to get your car for the residual value, which certainly isn't going to happen to an educated consumer like you. But there are a lot of people out there that have been asleep for the past 2 or 3 years. They're leasing cars. They have a huge bargain. They have a residual value that is thousands of dollars below the market value, and they just wander in and give the dealer the car. The dealer high fives each other, and they run out and make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on the car that you could have made that money on yourself had you known that it was a bargain.
So, and just to give, I like it when people give the numbers of what's going on. In this particular case, it was a 2019 Q5, and the residual value was $25,000. Mm-hmm. And just a quick look online, sort of the retail price of a car like that seems to be somewhere in the $35,000 to $40,000 range right now. So that's substantial.
It is, yeah, it's huge.
Sure.
It's it is unprecedented. It'll probably never happen again that we'll see a market like this. I think every leasing company has probably learned something. I think lease contracts may be rewritten as a result of this phenomenon because the leasing companies. They get burned either way. I back in the day when leasing was really getting popular, the leasing company used to make mistakes the other way around. they would try to lease cars so hard they'd give you a very high residual. So when the car came back, they had to take the car back and they would sell it at a loss. Southeast Toyota, because I've been a Toyota dealer for so long, they got themselves into big trouble. I'm going back maybe 30 years, and they had thousands of cars out there with extremely high residuals, and if they took them back, they were going to go broke. So they actually, as a consequence, the Toyota leasing got on the phones, called the leasing customers, and say, how do you like your Corolla? How do you like your Camry? Oh, I love it. Well, would you like to keep it a little while longer? You could keep on driving it at the same monthly payment. They were calling my customers as a Toyota dealer and encouraging my customers not to bring the car back because if the car came back, World Omni, that was the name of the leasing company for Toyota then, would have to sell the car at auction and lose thousands of dollars. So, yeah, it's interesting. This COVID
That
thing.
is interesting. I'm curious about one other thing now that you brought it up. So if you come in to lease a car today, so what are they doing with the residual value right now? Is it higher than it has been, or is it about the same?
Well, they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because no one's got a crystal ball, so they don't know exactly what to do. If they make it too high, then their formula will make the lease price too low.
Well, the problem's like now, these people that are coming out, that are getting out of their leases now, they leased them 3 years ago, or maybe some cases 4 years ago. And so obviously they didn't 3 years ago, nobody knew about the pandemic or what was going to happen down the road. I imagine the residual. It's kind of hard. I imagine they are coming. There's no special residual enhancements anymore, and that was a common thing that the car companies did.
Yeah, you've got to be, if you want to be competitive and you want to make a profit in your leasing company, you have to set your residual at a real value in your mind's eye, which 3 years from now might not be real. So you just have to. Leasing is a gamble. I mean, think about it. You have to guess, if you're a leasing company, what is this, Chevrolet Corvette going to be worth in 3 years? And, history has told us that sometimes you don't know. So it's a gamble, and that's what business is all about.
That's always been pretty
Do I have
stable.
time to talk about windshield wipers for a minute?
Yeah.
So interesting, you were talking about windshield wipers, and I had noticed over the windshield wipers Costco used to sell they were a Michelin brand, but what they were kind of a curved plastic windshield wiper, and as the windshields got bigger, 24, 26-inch windshield wipers, they'd lose contact with the windshield sort of at the top and the bottom, and they never really worked that well. And I've noticed that recently the same Michelin wiper that they sell there now is sort of the older style with the metal prongs that push it down onto the windshield again. So they've switched away from those older curved plastic. Is that something you've noticed, Rick? Or
He's nodding.
Oh yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, sometimes they get it right the first time, and they keep trying improvements, and the improvements aren't an improvement. And sometimes the simple old design they had just works best all the way around.
Yep. And one last thing. My daughter owns a Honda Accord, and she gets the dealer to just change the refill, which you can't even buy. You can't buy at the store anymore. You used to be able to buy refills and just stick them back into the clips, but at the Honda dealer, they don't replace the blade; they'll just replace the refill. And she's found that that's the best way.
Right,
and
it's just the rubber insert.
But
it's about a third the price to replace a rubber insert as to replace the entire blade.
Right, and it works fine as long as the blade is in good condition, the refill will work fine. So that's what she does, and yes, and she saves money. Well,
Yeah.
Thanks very much. As I
Thanks,
said,
Bobby.
I've always
Thank you,
learned a lot.
Bobby. Give us a call again.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to go to Julie. We're busy on these phones this morning. Welcome, Julie. Thanks for waiting.
Oh, good morning. I just wanted to say, I don't know if you saw today's Palm Beach Post, but they endorsed Aramis Ayala for Attorney General.
Oh, yeah, I think I did see that.
Oh, I missed it. That's interesting. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make any difference.
No,
But
Palm Beach Post always endorses the Democrat usually.
yeah,
so.
yeah, sure, yeah, yeah. It's she's Ashley Moody is paid for her post, and she'll get it. So she'll be the next Attorney General, unfortunately. But it's just it's politics. Hey, that's
Right.
She'll continue to be the Attorney General, and well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that along the way she may find time to help us and help the consumer.
One of the things they said about Moody was that she files frivolous lawsuits to curry partisan favor,
Not surprising.
which I found interesting.
Yeah, it's, I have to, just kind of slap myself in the face every now and then because I get so negative on politicians. Then I have to say, wait a minute, we live in America. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And and even England, look at the joke England is today. The Great Britain, the prime minister, she was there for 3 days. They've had
Six weeks.
They've had three prime ministers in 2 years. So politics all over the world is pretty silly. Ours is silly, but it's not as silly as every place else. So I'm glad I'm here.
Okay. Well, good morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Julie. We enjoyed your company. Have a wonderful weekend. We're going to go to Frank, who's calling us from Jupiter Farms. And Hank, hang on. I'll be right with you. Good morning. How you doing, Frank?
Hey, good morning, Nancy. I got two quick, one a remark and the other is a question. Several years ago, I too felt trapped to driving all the way to Pahokee for a supposed car they had there waiting for us. And as we got there, they said, of course, we just sold it. I'm looking around, well, can you show me what I drove, this 100 miles for? No, they drove it away. But we got other ones we can show you. And I said, no, I don't think so. And what we were supposed to do just got in the car and left. But what my real question is, I sent you guys a picture from the TV news the other day.
Yes,
And
I got that. Jonathan is going to put that on. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Frank.
And again, Nancy, I got to say, you told me so, and I think about that like every single month with the payments to the Toyota I co-signed for my son.
Yikes.
But I got a 2020 Toyota truck, and I noticed on the news that truck is losing its catalytic converters because Toyota is nice enough to put a lot more precious metals in than the other dealers, and it's up high. So here's my question: is there something, and something maybe even your dealership might be able to install, kind of like a prevention, when the guy's getting in and cutting it off?
Well, Frank, interestingly, and also unfortunately, this week our dealership was the victim of a catalytic converter theft. On Monday, we got hit earlier in the week. We got hit with a Tundra and a 4Runner, and then we got hit again just the other day. So when we looked at the they go into the high lift vehicles like the SUVs and the Tundras because number one, it's easier to get under there and do and saw the thing out, and also there's a lot more platinum and precious metals in a larger vehicle's catalytic converter. But they use these very high power saws. Like when we examined the area under the vehicle, there's not even shavings of metal. I mean, it's like a diamond cutter. And so we had discussed like cages or things like that could be, but that type of thing could be sawed through with the equipment. What we're doing is just we're corralling all the vehicles to interior portions of the dealership and maintaining as much vigilance as we can. But it's out of control now.
Wow. Okay.
The interesting thing about this, there was a big wave of this back about 95, 96, when thousands of cars got hit with their catalytic converters being stolen. And the authorities, the government came down and said, okay, well, all these scrap yards and the metal recyclers, when they receive catalytic converters, they were told you had to have proof of where this came from, or you weren't allowed to buy it. And for many years, that whole theft ring dried up. And apparently now something has happened where somebody found an avenue, a place to sell these, and now all of a sudden it's become a big business again, stealing these catalytic converters for resale.
It's probably more the cost of the rare earth metals that's probably caused the run now, because they peaked all-time high now.
Right, but you've got to find someone that can do the refining to get those metals out of those catalytic converters.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And so you got all these guys who just run around there. They pull out a simple battery-powered Sawzall that now are super compact. These saws are tiny, and they can roll up underneath the vehicle and cut through those exhaust pipes in 2 spots in about a minute to 2 minutes.
Yeah,
and that cat is in their hands, and they're out of there.
I heard that they get about the thief gets about 3,000 per catalytic converter, and they can do about 10 in a night, and so that's a pretty hefty.
$3,000 per.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Frank. That's interesting information.
It's not that Mark.
Wow.
One last question: does the insurance cover that?
Yes, but what we have found lately is a lot of the insurance companies are not directing you to the dealership to replace the actual full pipe. They're usually trying to send you to the smaller muffler shops where they will simply install a weld-in aftermarket catalytic converter that oftentimes is not the best quality. So you may want to be really pushing, if you're the victim of it, push your insurance company that they've got to replace it with a factory part.
What is do you consider not a good catalytic converter? One that doesn't get all the pollution out of the air?
Well, one that will all of a sudden fail in about 6 to 8 months, maybe a year.
What happens if they fail?
And suddenly you've got check engine lights coming on in your car.
And you got a new one. Hey, here's interestingly the same phenomenon that has led to the demand by thieves to steal these things is also causing a bigger problem on the other side after it's stolen, because you can't replace these things now. So we were quoted 2 years originally on the replacement of these catalytic converters, and that means we had 2 cars.
Wow.
Now Mark made a bunch of noise, and we got up there. We got one replaced right away, and we have another one that's coming in next month. But it's the supply chain issue is if somebody steals your catalytic converter, it's going to take a long time before you can find a replacement for one.
And Stu, you mentioned $3,000 catalytic converter.
That was just in conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about 2?
2? I'll give you 2.
Because that's what
for it.
they're taking, 2. So that's $6,000 a night if they're only hitting one truck.
Oh, no, they're hitting about 10 a night. That's what the cops told us.
Yeah, but I mean, even if they were
slow
moving.
Let's talk about bagels next. They're more interesting than Cadillac bagels. Are more interesting than Cadillac converters.
I'm changing my job description. Okay, guys, you got the number. I know that. So I don't know whether I should repeat it again or not.
Thanks, Frank.
Ciao, Frank. 877-960-9960. Text us at 772-497-6530. Your anonymous feedback. I know that Stu's got a bunch and Rick's got some YouTubes for us, but we're staying with the phones, and we're going to talk to Hank and Jerry out there in West Palm Beach. Hang on.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Hank.
Hey, is this Hank who we were talking to earlier this week?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Okay, great. Our phones have been so busy, we didn't have a chance to kind of read the preview, but since we got you on the phone, I wouldn't mind just giving a little summary to our listeners, if you hang on a second. So Hank contacted us. He was listening to a radio show recently, and he contacted us because he had a terrible experience with getting his 72 Cadillac Eldorado restored. So he brought it to a body shop in Boynton Beach, and I'll just summarize it real quick. But he wanted to get in there. It had rust. He wanted to take care of the rust, get the motor running, overall just get it in tip-top shape. So over several attempts to get this done, more problems were created by this body shop. The car is almost destroyed, almost to the point of vandalism. He says the convertible top, which is flawless, was torn. They put in mismatched carpet. They flooded the trunk, painted over existing rust instead of properly removing it. The seat belt ends were tucked under the seat. They didn't even attach the rear seat to the floor of the car. and he's had no luck of getting legal help. And
Tell them about the 2x4 to keep the battery in place.
This
Yeah,
is
don't
insane.
forget.
This is crazy. So they secured the battery in the engine compartment with wood 2x4s painted black. And so I haven't heard anything this outrageous. I think the entire time that we've done the show.
Yeah.
And so that was your introduction, Hank. And I know that you're concerned about identifying the body shop on this show. We name names, the company names, the employee names. So feel free to speak freely. Just don't curse.
Thank you very much for all of your attention. The name of the body shop is J&S Automotive in Boynton Beach, owned by Tom McCord. And like you said, I took the car into him, and without repeating the things you just mentioned, in addition, when they worked on the motor, the project also was to get the motor running, like you said, in tip-top shape. I don't know how they got the car back to my house, but I couldn't even get the car started, and Tom came over personally to try to start the car. He couldn't get it started, and he had to tow it back for phase 2 of the repairs. And long story short, when he brought it back after the second time, there was a horizontal slit in the convertible top and more issues than there were going in. For example, I had one of those mobile repair guys come out to my house to try to at least get the engine running, and he took the filter lid off the top of the engine there, and there's a valve, I guess, or something in the carburetor. He said they were held open with twisties, that you use on your bread package. Geez. And so at any rate, I spent probably 2 days calling at least 15 different lawyers, and I just got passed on and passed on and passed on. And finally, the last lawyer in Fort Lauderdale, he gave me some advice, and he said, thanks to the lobbyists in Tallahassee representing the car dealerships and the big car repair shops, they've made it such that the consumer has absolutely zero recourse in getting anything fixed that happened at the repair shop. And so here I am high and dry. I'm out over $13,000, and the car literally, like Stu said, is in worse shape than when it went in. They stored part of the parts in the car on the floor of the car, on the carpet. There was nothing wrong with the carpet, and they tore out the old carpet, which was in perfect shape, and I've got pictures of before and after, and they put in new carpeting that doesn't match the same color as the original carpeting, because on those cars the carpeting comes up on the door at the bottom like about 8 inches or so. So I have 2 different colors of carpeting in the car, and the texture's different, the color's different, everything else. And without repeating what Stu said, they never refastened the seatbelts down to the floor. They never refastened the back seat down to the floor. And the guy's lucky, and Tom McCord is lucky, because had he brought the car back running, the first time he worked on the car, if it was drivable, he would have put myself and any passenger's life in danger by us not knowing that the front seat belts were never fastened back to the floor. Neither were the back seat belts, and neither was the whole back seat at all. So getting back to representation, I'm SOL. I have no recourse. I don't know who to turn to. I don't know what to do.
Hank, you mentioned,
like I said, I'm out $13,000.
You mentioned you had some pictures.
I need help.
If you've taken a lot of pictures, just to document the, hopefully some before and after stuff.
Yeah. I had this feeling going in. You hear all these consumer problems with other issues, in life. So I took pictures of the car inside and out, front to back, top to bottom, and everything I'm saying is documented.
Good. So, it's true that, the car dealer lobby in Florida has enormous power, and we see that a lot in the lack of enforcement of laws. But I don't know if it's true that you have no recourse. You clearly have a well-documented case of damage to your property. If you took the vehicle home, like if we repair a car improperly and we cause and they get into an accident and somebody gets injured severely or died, we're on the hook. There's definitely There's definitely recourse. Now, I mentioned to you in my message, we have an attorney that we've worked with for decades, and he's out of town. He was in Portugal, but he's back this weekend. So I'm talking to him on Monday, and I'm going to go over this with him and see if he can't refer somebody for me, for you, that I can tell you, because I can't believe something like this is that. I mean, maybe it's because the amount of damages relatively isn't that large in this grand scheme of things. But it does exceed, I think, the small claims court value. So you could get an actual, besides arbitration, if you wanted to push it.
Hank, what was the television station you called the Consumer Investigative Reporter?
Channel 12.
Which one?
That was Channel 12. I called Channel 12 here in West Palm Beach.
Have you tried Channel 5 or Channel?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Have you tried Channel 5, the NBC affiliate? They're pretty good. Another one, Channel 10, WPLG. They're Fort Lauderdale area, but that might be too far. To me, it's an interesting case. I think that what they've done, it isn't just like you had a car that you took to the body shop and they messed it up. You had a cherished vehicle. Your first, you bought that new, didn't you, Hank?
No, I bought the car used. The person who had it before me was a Shriner, and he used it, in Shriner parades and stuff.
Yeah, so it was special.
And I bought the car about 30 years ago.
Yeah, okay, so
and to this day, the car has only 88,000 miles on it. Nice. It was basically, inside it was flawless. The convertible top was flawless. Yeah. The engine, I let the car sit for 2 years, so it got a little bit of rust on it, around the edges, and the engine wouldn't start. And one additional thing is this Tom McCord at JNS Automotive. He charged me over $300 to travel to the Carolinas, supposedly, to get a new trunk lid, okay? He brings back this new trunk lid, okay? He puts it on the car and he paints the car. The new trunk lid that he installed had a slanted karate chop-like dent in it about 8 inches long. And that's the way he hands me this new trunk lid that I had to pay for, in addition to over $300 in fuel for him to supposedly go get the trunk lid in the Carolinas. I mean, this is just... I've been used and abused and taken advantage of.
Well, Hank, you're now on live radio. You're talking about the company, and we are too.
Yeah, please repeat the name.
Our attorney will be back shortly, and he will call you, and you can talk to him about legal action. I also suggest that you try WPTV Channel 5.
I will call them.
It is a very to me it's interesting. I mean, let's face it, the TV stations, they like stuff that's going to make their station popular, and I think you have a very interesting story. So try them. We'll have our attorney call you in just a few days, and next week hopefully we'll have some positive resolution to this for you. But I agree with you. It's a terrible thing they did.
Thank you very much. Sorry I took so long, but this has been a 2-year ordeal. And
No, Hank, we're here at Earl Stewart on Cars. We thank you for calling in, for sharing this with us, because you just don't know how many people we reach every Saturday morning, and you've helped so many. And I do have to tell you, whenever Earl and I both sat down and read this message from you, I had to read it twice. I couldn't wrap my head around every single thing that happened to you and what you said, used, abused, whatever adjective you want to use. But where there's a will, there's a way. And this is going to take patience, and you are going to be the winner.
I hope so, and thank you very much for all of your help and your time.
You're
Thanks,
quite
Hank.
Welcome.
And I'm going to give you a call on Monday after I talk to our lawyer.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
You're welcome.
Be good, Hank.
Have a great weekend. We are going to go to Fritz in West Palm Beach. And Steve, hang on. We'll be right with you. Good morning, Fritz.
Yes, good morning. I have a question. If I'm thinking about purchasing a vehicle, private sale from someone, and I want to know, how do I go about getting the car driven legally on the road from point A to point B without having, the cops stop me? Because the DMV, in the past, they used to give you like a temporary tag. If you show them insurance, they would give you a temporary tag so you can, drive a car on the road. They
Yes.
don't do that anymore. And basically, I want to know how do I go about doing that if I purchase a car from someone private sale?
Okay, I can tell you what to do there. First of all, the temporary tags, dealers do that, and they print them right there at the dealership.
But he's talking about a private
I know.
individual. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Private sellers don't have the ability to do that.
If they give you a temporary tag, you're in trouble because they're not supposed to have it.
Yeah.
So you'd be worse trouble getting a temporary tag from a private individual.
Right. So you're allowed to, when you purchase a car, make sure you get insured right away. So you'll have the VIN number and the information from the vehicle, and get in touch with your insurance company and get the insurance transferred to that vehicle before you drive it away. So you do that on your cell phone from the place where you're buying it, and then you have to have a bill of sale, just something showing that you purchased the vehicle from the owner. Make sure all the relevant information is on it. If you get pulled over on the way to the tag collector's office to register it, you can show them that and show them that the vehicle is insured, and you'll have documentation.
And of course, the most important thing is a paid-off title to the car.
Yes.
So you might have more trouble than just the police stopping you because you don't have a registration.
But you won't find out till later.
Yeah, you might find out that the guy that sold you the car didn't own it. So be sure that you have a legitimate title before you give him any money.
Right, exactly. So either proof that there's no liens on the car, and or a physical title. They can have a copy of that to hand to you when you purchase it, and it's signed over to you. But to answer the main question, as you're driving across town to get the vehicle registered, don't worry about that as long as you have a proof that you just purchased it, some documentation, and have it insured.
Okay, so the car is not going to have any tag on it. So if God forbid, I get stopped, if I show the cops the proof of the purchase and all that, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as you're not driving around it for months, you're going to the tag agency, the tax collector's office to register the vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to get it from. Basically, I wouldn't even go to the tax collector's office. I'll just try to get it home in my yard and go from there. But anyway,
okay.
Thanks for the advice. It's good advice, and I'll keep that in mind, and I think that can work.
All right.
Thanks,
You're
Fritz.
welcome.
Give us a call
Okay,
again.
thanks.
We're going to
Take
go
care.
straight to Steve, who's holding in Jupiter. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. Quick question for you guys. You've helped us out in the past. On our cars, a fog forms on the inside of the front windshield, and we've tried to clean it off with Windex, with just paper, with vinegar, and it's on all three of our vehicles: a Ford, a Honda, and a Mercury. And when the sun hits it early in the morning, especially, you can't even see where you're going. It's like a film on the inside of the front windshield. Any suggestions as to getting that film off? What to use?
I'm guessing you mean it's condensation.
No, film. I know exactly. I have the same thing sometimes. It has to do with dust and salt, and it forms a film
like a grime
on the inside of the car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know exactly, and
Yeah.
it looks like it's fogged.
Yeah,
And
it is a bit of condensation and film.
here's the only
Kind of
thing.
looks like it has an oily substance.
Right.
in it.
It could
rainbow
be
effect.
it could be residue from a cleaning, like maybe a poor cleaning. That happened in my car. It was driving me crazy. It looked like it was fogging up, and I just took a paper towel and I just rubbed it, and it rubbed clean. Took a little elbow grease, but I suspect it's maybe it's a combination of humidity, dust, dirt, and it just builds up. But
This is Colonel Google just called me.
All right.
And Colonel Google said, how do I get the film off the inside of my windshield? And they say, what's happening and why vehicle interiors create the ideal atmosphere for building up film on the inside of windows. Cigarette smoke, condensation, and dust blend in a closed, hot interior to form a cloud that eventually coats the windows. The hotter the weather, the quicker the film builds up. So that's basically what you have, and a quality glass cleaner, they say, will do away with spots and film.
We have tried Honda glass cleaner, regular Windex, vinegar, all different kinds of paper cleaning products. It doesn't come off. It moves around, and it gets streaky. But my wife and I have both, but anyway, I've seen it on all three of our cars, and for years it's been a battle with it. But I thought I didn't think you'd probably get this call solved. It's a weird thing, but we've tried all that stuff you said, but we'll just keep working on it.
Yeah.
If you we've spent like some days 30 minutes, cleaned it, like going through like just gobs of paper towels and cleaning agents.
I experienced the same thing. It did seem to like smear it around, but I was able to get clear spots with the elbow grease and a dry paper towel. I didn't squirt anything because I didn't have anything there.
Yeah, and Steve, I have the same thing. I have every morning. I have the same thing. My car's parked in a garage, so there's a whole lot that you can apply to that problem, and it has a heck of a lot to do with your location. It has a heck of a lot to do with the weather. It has a lot to do with if you're living around a lot of construction. The list is endless.
Yeah. We'll just keep working on it.
If you go to Google, you can spend 20 minutes reading solutions, by the way.
And we're not even talking the Saharan
alcohol, I mean, you
dust.
name it.
Yeah. So
now that's one we haven't tried, rubbing alcohol.
Try rubbing alcohol.
Yeah. Okay.
Or scotch.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Don't waste your scotch.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay.
I do have one suggestion. Just came in on YouTube. Robert Prophet says, try using car polish on the inside of the windows.
Like wax or no?
Yeah, like a normal car wax.
Yeah, let's go with the alcohol first.
Yeah, I like this because that polish would be hard to get off. But that's something I have not thought of is the polish. So anyway, I appreciate it. We'll try. That'll give us two more things to try: alcohol.
And let us know.
And if the polish doesn't work, we'll get out the good alcohol.
All right. Call us either way, please.
Or maybe vinegar and water. Mark Smith is recommending vinegar and water a week mix.
Yeah. A Grey Goose goes a long way.
That's what I'd call that.
Hey,
everything
Steve, thank you.
I tried the vinegar thing. That didn't work. But okay, we'll try alcohol and then the polish. I like the idea of that polish, maybe.
Thanks for the call,
Okay.
Steve.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okie dokie. We're going to stay with the phones. What do you think of that? 877-960-9960. Text us 772-497-6530. We are going to get to the text sooner or later and the YouTube. Right now, we're going to go to Boca, where Doug is waiting. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. I'm drinking my coffee, and I feel a little foggy, too. What do I do for that?
Visine. Use the Visine.
A little less alcohol last night.
So I have a question. I called the Toyota representative about the deposit I put on the Toyota GR circuit, and I asked him, the status of it. And he says, you probably won't be even hearing from it until next year, maybe March or April. And he says that they're not going to make them anymore. So they made 1,500 of this particular model. And he said, that'll be it. And I go, what? So I don't know if you guys heard anything about that.
Yeah, we know it was. I didn't actually hear the official that it wasn't going to be produced, but we always knew it was a very low production, model, and didn't expect it to last as long as it did. The car first came out as a Scion FRS, and then they switched it to the. Oh, you're talking about the Corolla, right?
Yeah.
The Corolla GR. I thought you said GR86. That doesn't surprise me at all. Okay, I'm sorry, I was talking about the wrong model, which is also a very limited sort of thing. The GR86, the GR Corolla, that's for the listeners. That's kind of like that rally car that they put out. It's a fast Corolla, 50,000, three-cylinder little, right? Isn't that what it is? A three-cylinder?
Yeah, Randy Deppins at our shop has got one on order. He's trying to get hold of.
Yeah, so they take so long to get in, and that's news to me that they're making this one run and stopping.
Yeah, but anyhow. I know one of my best friends is best friends with the owner of Toyota of Hollywood, and I said, Zach, can you make sure that he doesn't, give me sticker shock and mark it up by $10,000 or whatever? And he says, yeah, I'll talk to him and make sure he doesn't do that.
Right.
I go, really?
Craig Zinn is not gonna mark up your car. That's great news.
my best friends has been friends with him for a long time, and his father too. So
yeah.
Well, I knew his father. His father was, he was the original dealer. There used to be on the board of directors of a bank in Miami. So with the whole Zen family, we know him.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for your show.
Thank you, Doug.
And thanks for the sunrise. I wasn't able to see it today, but I can watch it now.
Because you were foggy.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, guys.
Hello to
Bye-bye.
the family. Okay, I think that we are going to get to, we're going to go to Stu. We're going to go to Rick.
Yeah, go to me. Because I've been wanting to read Anne-Marie's text, and she's probably been waiting all morning. Anne-Marie says, good morning. Vehicles are still in short supply. If dealers don't have any inventory on the lot, how can potential customers take a test drive to see if a vehicle is a good fit before they make the decision to buy a vehicle? I want to know if a vehicle provides enough headroom and legroom. Are the seats comfortable? I want to know if the driver's seat has enough adjustments so short drivers can see over the hood, or they need a cushion or two. Consumer Reports can tell me if a vehicle specifications will meet my needs for cargo capacity, fuel efficiency, and reliability, but only a test drive can tell me if the vehicle actually fits me. How does a wannabe customer get a test drive nowadays? I get an idea.
Well, here's some breaking news, and I don't in the current automotive news. Believe it or not, you won't believe it, Stu. The day supply now nationally for new cars is 45 days. So you'd never know it to look at our lot or a lot of lots around here. But it is good news for the consumer. I think what's happening, again, it's not localized because we don't see it locally, but locally, I mean South Florida.
I can believe it because I know it's not that they're getting a supply of cars; they're just holding on to them and selling them.
But they're holding on to more. So the point being, if they're holding on to more, then maybe the cars aren't
Eventually
as high priced.
It's an indicator what's coming down the road for sure.
So we're saying a typical day supply is like 60 days. So 45 days is almost normal. And that's
we always ran around a 40-day supply, 45-day supply. But to answer Anne-Marie's question, there are cars on lots, like Earl just mentioned. So that 45-day supply is car speak for saying there's more cars on lots. And
find the car on the lot, but don't buy it and drive it.
Right.
Drive it, and then do your.
And then come to us.
And then you have to decide. No, this is really where you do it. You're absolutely right about driving the car. Drive the car, if at all possible, and then shop around for the best price. And you're going to be paying more than you will 6 months from now.
Yeah, and I've been asked that question a lot, Anne-Marie, and there's a number of reasons that you want to go out. You think you're just going to waste your time? Not going to waste your time. Drive around and see if you can find that vehicle. Well, maybe you can call. Maybe they'll tell you the truth. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, the main complaint that I hear from the calls that I get is, geez, I should have driven that car. The front seat is killing my back. Can you believe that? It's the truth. Rick?
Just an oddball thought, but you might check with some local rental car companies and see if they have that model of car as one of their available vehicles.
Great idea.
Rent it for a day and
$200
drive it for a whole day.
I mean, the problem is they'll get you on the rental. Everybody's short of cars. Rental car companies are short. Leasing companies, car dealers, used car dealers, everything's short. And you're going to pay for the convenience. I talked about this on the show a month ago. Our mystery shopper, very intelligent, very sharp lady, she had to have a car, and she wanted to buy a Toyota, and she needed it right away. So we gave her our price, which is the lowest price, because we sell our cars at MSRP, out the door, plus tax and tag, and she had to have the car, so she couldn't wait. She wanted to order the car through us. It would have taken her 6 months or longer. So she went to another Toyota dealer. They had one in stock, and she paid several $1,000s over sticker. And that was a choice we all have to make. How bad do you need that new car? How bad do you need the used car? And, of course, what's your net worth? I mean, can you afford to do it?
Right. We'll have to pay her more for mystery shops now.
Yeah.
Bob came in with a couple of comments here, going all the way back to the beginning of the show. When I came in, we were talking about the oil change question. that was called in. Bob suggested it's possible the tech keyed in the wrong code for the type of oil. I didn't hear most of that story, but that's Rick is grimacing, so Bob, no, that's not the case.
I find that unlikely because, like, at our shop, we have 3 choices of oil. One is our conventional 5W30 fossil oil.
And there's a 0W.
0W20 synthetic and 0W16 synthetic.
Yeah.
And that's it. So,
That's it.
But all of those oils are supplied by Toyota to our dealership.
Right.
So
in bulk. Okay, on squeaky wiper blades, Bob solved his issue by an application, and you're going to love this, Dad, Rain-X, no more squeaking.
Love Rain-X.
So
I started to say before, I think that windshield wipers should be obsolete. There's got to be a better way. I mean, stop and think about it. You have a visibility problem. It's foggy. It's rainy.
Such a
and
primitive.
so what do? You have this black thing that goes back and forth in front of you.
You might as well have your arm outside the window.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way to clear a windshield in snow and
What
sleet
if you
and rain.
superheated windshields? What if they superheated the windshield?
Well, there's got to be an answer. I mean, just like tires. Tires are stupid. I mean, there's got to become up something better than tires, something better than windshield wipers. So all you geniuses out there, come up with an invention. Become a billionaire.
Bob also contributed this. The film on the windshields are mostly, and now you Googled this, but he says they're mostly caused by the sun radiating down on the vinyl dashes. Chemical reactions of sun, UV, and heat on vinyl causes an outgassing, which deposits on the glass.
Yep.
And that makes me feel very, very uncomfortable in my car.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Whoever knows how to fix it, Stu's got the problem, Nancy's got the problem, I got a problem, and Rick and Jonathan. I think everybody has that problem with a film. So,
Well,
if
I
someone
don't
can
have the
figure-
problem. I solved the problem.
Okay, good.
I'm going to patent it, and I clean my windshield
There, we'll talk.
inside and outside every single morning.
We'll talk about the.
But you don't ever drive your car.
Pardon me?
But you never drive your car.
Well, I don't think that's
that
an
one.
accurate
'Cause
statement.
she wants to drive your car. We're wait for Nancy's Tesla to get
Wait
here.
a minute. Whoa. Whose car?
Miss Nancy's car. We have one text from Jonathan Walton quick before we get to the mystery shopping report. He says, Toyota is making cars as they are ordered. Are the cars the same quality as always, or is the rush to make cars creating less than perfect automobiles? That's a misperception. Toyota hasn't changed the way they're making cars. They're just making less. When we say we're ordering cars, those aren't orders going directly to the factory being made to order. It's basically kind of like a hand raiser. When the car that's produced with your to your specifications, because we match that to the order, so they're not making custom orders.
Now, I see something going on in general about car manufacture. As the cars become more and more complex and more requirements on emissions and safety, and also huge competition trying to make my car cooler than your car, they'll become more complicated they get, the more problems you have. And so if you look at I look at the J.D. Power 100-day survey the other day, and I was shocked at some of the quality cars. They were having a lot of complaints on cars. And the complaints, a lot of times, are just, I don't know how to do this. I can't turn this on. I mean, complication causes problems.
I have one more text I would like to get to. Comes in from, and I don't have a name. The Goodyear Tire official store always sells, this is in Miami, by the way, the Goodyear Tire store in Miami always sells people other brand tires, telling them it's a Goodyear sister company. Same price as Goodyear. I caught them, and I left a review on Google. Should I report to Goodyear directly? Now, I don't know if Goodyear has, like, sub-brands. Like, do you know this, Rick? If you went to a Goodyear tire store, do they sell other brands other than Goodyear?
I don't think so.
I can't see how you would get away with that. And we used to have a guy that tells us, oh, yeah, these Petrotelli tires, they're made by Michelin, but they're just, it's like, well, if they were made by Michelin, they'd be Michelin tires.
Okay, so to answer your question, Mr. Texter, yeah, if you want to take the time to go ahead and contact the Goodyear company and let them know that there's a store that might be breaking the rules, that would be a nice thing to do. And that's it.
Okay. Mystery
Alrighty.
shopping report.
We have a mystery shopping report to get to, and that is from Essential Ford. That's in Stuart, Florida. And as I always say, you are an important part of the mystery shopping report. You can text your grade for this mystery shopping report at 772-497-6530. Now, back to the recovering car dealer.
For people not familiar with Florida, Stuart, Florida, is way north of Miami. It's north of Palm Beach County and Martin County on the east coast of Florida. Stuart, Stuart.
No relation.
No relation. Sometime during the pandemic, John Staluppi Jr. bought Advantage Ford of Stuart. John Staluppi Sr. been around for a long time. He had dealerships in Palm Beach County 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Junior, and now is kind of running the show.
He's my age.
And
he's my age.
Yeah. Bought Advantage Ford of Stuart and renamed it Essential Ford of Stuart. We think the changeover occurred sometime between December 2020 and March 2021. There's a huge amount of changing hands of car dealerships. Car dealerships are being bought and sold at a record pace, and possibly because the profits to car dealers are at a record pace. John Staluppi Jr. is a very rich son of a very rich guy, very colorful, long time, sort of acquaintance of mine. As I say, I knew him when he had Palm Beach Toyota in Okeechobee Boulevard, I believe it was, and then out on Military Trail. And he's been around a long time. Based in New York, he started out many, many years ago in New York in a Honda motorcycle place. I think he did.
He started. He was an auto mechanic. That's
auto mechanic, yeah. So anyway, John Staluppi has been around a long, long time. Didn't even know he bought this dealership in Stuart, Florida, the Ford dealership. The Superstore Auto Group, that's the name of his group, large auto group, by the way. They're up I think in their top 10, maybe at least the top 20 auto groups in the country.
He had the biggest, when he went into the Vegas market, he had I think it was the biggest Hyundai store in the world. He built it as that before he even opened, but then he became very quickly.
Yeah. In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He sold it, I think, last year.
Yeah. There are an acquisition fee picking up dealerships in Southeast Florida at a rapid clip. In addition to Advantage Ford, sometimes in 2020, Staluppi's group bought Delray Hyundai, Genesis, I didn't know that, and Delray Acura, I didn't know that, in January of this year. Staluppi's expansion plans hit a snag a couple of months ago when the city of Delray Beach voted not to rezone parcels he planned to develop into a dealership, and it's unusual for Delray not to do it. They have a lot of dealerships.
It was a split decision. I was reading the report about it, and some of the commissioners were saying, well, yeah, we know that there's lots of car dealerships here. We know that the residents, when they moved here, they knew they were moving right next to a commercial zone district, but we don't need any more.
Yeah.
They think they're...
Well, Boca Raton won't allow car dealerships. Jupiter only has one. So there are communities just don't like car dealers.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't like car dealers.
I'm glad there's no car
I don't like
dealerships.
car dealers.
I'm glad there's none in Jupiter. That's where I live.
A common theme in our mystery shopping reports is the phenomenon of dealership change in ownership. Change in ownership means huge changes in all aspects of a dealership. Sometimes a new owner cleans house, replaces a large number of employees with his own people. Sometimes they keep almost everyone except senior management. I guess there's not, it's hard to say. I mean, we have a situation of the Arrigo dealerships where the Morgan Group bought out the Arrigo dealerships, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And nothing's changed. We thought it had changed, but apparently they've even kept the Arrigo brothers doing the commercials, and we mystery shopped them. There doesn't seem to be any difference. So it depends on who's buying and who's selling. When Advantage Ford became Essential Ford, we mystery shopped them, and they did terribly. We gave them a D+, a D-, but we said we'd be back after the new management had time to settle in and get comfortable. So we did. We sent Agent Lightning back to Essential Ford to give them a shot at redemption and a better grade. Here's a report as if I were Agent Lightning. I arrived around dinner time, observed three salespeople sitting on high chairs.
like babies with sippy cups.
Yeah.
That's what I pictured when she wrote that.
Yeah. Just inside the front door. That's where you can see the lot, I guess. That's not a bad idea. Usually the boss sits up in a high stool, high chair, so he can see everything going on. Looks like they were sheltering from the cold while they waited for a customer to show up. For the edification of our listeners outside of Florida, we had a front come in this week, and temperatures dropped. You're going to get this to the 60s. We're shivering. We're freezing to death in here. So
this is cold.
It's just funny. I lived here all my life, and people laugh at me from up north because it drops to 50, and I'm wearing a jacket and a sweater.
I was wearing a sweater to work this week.
Exactly, yeah. One of the salesmen stood up and met me halfway and asked if there was something he could help me with. I'm Agent Lightning. I asked if he had any new Ford Edges in stock. He said he believed so. So then walked over to other salespeople and said something I couldn't make out. One of the other salesmen stood up, approached me, and asked me to follow him to the desk. I followed him, and he said he needed to get my information before we could do anything else. He also explained that the man who greeted me was waiting on a sales appointment, so that's why he couldn't help me. We sat at a desk on the side of the showroom and asked me questions, entered my answers in his computer. He offered to show me an Edge in the showroom to see if it's the one I like. We walked over there. It sounds like they have some cars, so it kind of goes to what I said earlier. Surprisingly, inventories are starting to build. The Monroney label, the MSRP, the official federal mandated sticker, and the addendum were both laminated and lying on the front seat. The MSRP was $42,895. The addendum added a $1,599 essential protection package. I love that. That gives you wheel locks, mud guards. I mean, isn't that old-fashioned? I mean, mud guards. Door edge and what's a cup guard?
Okay, that's not for the cup holder. That's in the handle, or where the depression behind the handle. Like if you wear rings, it happens a lot with ladies. If they it scratches the so it protects that little area.
And window tint. It also added Resistol for $399 and Vin Edge. Boy, Vin Edge is one of the oldest. It's been around for a long time. Vin Edge for $199. That's where they take a little mask and then you paint some acid on the window, and it costs max.
Nothing. The salesperson does it.
Yeah, the salesperson can do it for. You don't even pay the salesperson anything.
Well, that's the F&I goes. All right, go etch the car, and they go etch it.
Right. Okay, Stolpe Jr.'s list price for all this was $45,092 after you added the extras that we just talked about. I told him I liked this model. The salesman excused himself to get the key. He asked me if I minded driving a burgundy one he had outside. Said no, that was fine. We walked out to the vehicle. I got a decent presentation, and we took it for a test drive. We came back to the dealership, parked. Salesman asked me what I thought. I said I liked the car, but I didn't like the add-ons I saw on the addendum. He replied by telling me the VIN, standing for Vehicle Identification Number, the VIN Edge, would save me money on my car insurance. I don't believe that.
I don't think so. I know that when you sign up for car insurance, they want to know of any anti-theft protection, so you can tell them that.
I think, a long time ago, I think it did, because when I was evil, we used to do the same thing.
A long time ago, but I don't know if it still qualifies. I think engine immobilizers, the actual security systems will get you a discount. But
I said I'd be, there is, actually, ironically, I have to say something good about Vin Edge. If you're going to steal a car, and you see a car that's got the VIN number etched on all the glass, you're probably less likely to steal it if the one next to it doesn't have it, because if you're really a pro, you're going to have to get rid of the windshields, or the windows, and that's going to cost you a lot of money. So the mere fact that they have it, I mean, no one is going to, a cop isn't going to go driving by, look at the glass edge and say, oh, that's a stolen car. That's not going to happen. But
and that was part of the F&I pitch. They said, they said 90% of car thefts are for professionals, and they go for things.
Yeah.
I did look it up, by the way, real quick, and a number of insurance companies still do offer a gift off the comprehensive portion of your insurance. So
it's not all bad. It's just cheap. I mean, it does have some value, but it costs the dealer virtually nothing. I mean, what do you pay for the kit? $10 for the kit? And then the salesman puts it on. And
that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, the cost is it's an insurance product, so they,
Anyway, sat down at the desk, waited for him to get a worksheet. Market value selling price was MSRP $42,895. There was $500 discount labeled savings. Then he added Edge for $199, Resistol for $399. That's, I guess, the polish. Essential package for $15.95. $1,595, and $899 dock fee. Add it all up, $45,487. He could see I wasn't smiling. He asked me what he could get me to buy this car, what it would take for me to buy this car right now today. I said that even with a discount, I was $2,500 over MSRP. The salesman challenged me and said it was only $1,000 over. I opened the calculator on my phone, added up all the extras, including the junk fee, and showed him. You know, he might have believed it. I mean,
Yeah. I think he wasn't counting the dock fees.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Probably. I asked him if they participated in the Costco auto program. I like this. He said he would check. Now, he probably didn't even know there was a Costco auto body program, but they could ask for anything. The farmer program, you know, the abused housewife program. There would always be a program. Then he asked me again how soon I was buying, and I told him I planned to buy in the next week. Salespeople hate to hear that. And I was close to buying a new Chevy Traverse. This seemed to pique his interest. He began to criticize the Traverse, okay? He left to speak with the manager again. I looked around. I was the only customer in the showroom. I couldn't see any other employees around either.
Very lonely.
The salesman was back in 5 minutes with a new sheet of paper. He said that if it will keep me from leaving, he'll take an additional $1,000 off. He said the $500 discount he already gave me was the Costco discount. See, that's the reason, folks. This is
where it all breaks down.
Yeah. This is, if you're a Costco member and you want to buy the Costco program, don't ever ask the salesman. Just walk in and say, do you have a Costco program? Because everybody's got a Costco program, which means that they're going to tell you they have one so they can make you believe that they got a Costco discount, and they don't. So identify the Costco member, approved dealer, identify the Costco salesperson, because that's all on the Costco website. Okay. Then he walked me over to the edge of the showroom and asked me to open and close the door. He asked me to remember how solid that felt. Well, that's old school. You hear that? And by the way, my Tesla, which I won't tell you how much money I spent on it because it was way too much, when I slammed the door, it sounds tinny and terrible.
Because it only weighs 400 pounds.
Yes, I mean, what is that?
Yeah, let me tell you about the doors.
I don't know, but yeah,
I'll tell you about the doors.
When you slam the
hey,
trunk.
We don't have time.
Yeah, right. He asked me to America, then suggested that we go and try the same thing with used Chevy Traverse he had in stock. I love this. The experience will not be the same, he assured me. I thanked him for his time and ran out the door.
That was a great last-minute attempt here, on the selling. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, Steve was trying. The guy, he's got to make a living, right?
Yeah.
You got to put food on the table. He was trying. Okay, there we are. Time to vote, I think. Mystery shop of Essential Ford, Stewart, in Florida. What do you give them? Now, remember, we grade on the curve, so there's no such thing as a real A, 100%. Nobody's 100%. But if someone is better than all the other dealers, we'll give them an A. If they're worse than all the other dealers, we'll give them an F. And usually we're somewhere in between.
Okay. Jonathan in Wellington. Hey, Jonathan, you surprised me. The protection package is a scam. Correct. I don't want it, and too many additional fraudulent fees, which Mr. Stewart taught us how to navigate around. Other than that, not a hard experience. I'll give him a B. And it was better than last time, and I'm not going to get the details.
It was.
But I was almost going to ding him on the etch thing because I didn't think that was still a discount until I looked it up. So he was telling the truth. Matter of fact, you can expect between 5% and a 15% discount on your premiums for etch.
You know, the argument is if you don't have any other theft deterrent, it would pay you to buy an etch kit and etch your own car.
Exactly, yeah.
And save 5% on your insurance.
Except for you don't get the recovery thing. I think that's the insurance aspect. If the car is stolen and not recovered, then you get money, $5,000.
But it is somewhat of a deterrent. I mean, I don't want to, of all the crap they put on the cars and charge you for, I would have to say the VinEdge is one of the few that has some value.
As long as they're in that under $200 range. I mean, if they're charging $600 for etch, forget it. Yeah. That's what ToyoGuard from Toyota does. They etch the VIN also, and that was part of the $700. Bob gives them a C, and I'm gonna agree with Bob. This was typical in 2022 car dealer behavior.
Yeah.
I've got Mark Anderson, Mark from St. Louis, a perfectly etched D. Kirk in West by God, Virginia, Essential Ford earns the essential grade of D minus. Essentially, the dealer addendum was way overpriced, was the downfall. Plus, I love those that knock other manufacturers. Bad form. Let's see. Scott Hunter, a D. Tom Steckel, I'd give them a D. $2,500 on junk fees plus old school tactics. If you want a Ford, go to Mullinax, A grade.
There you go.
Tim Gilliland, nothing essential here about that protection package or the Costco program lie. D. Mark Smith, D. Brian Sadutko, way too much money for a Ford Edge, D. Mark Ryan, D. Wayne Veit, big D. Donovan Lewis, complete fail. Give them an F.
Are we averaging
When are
these?
these dealers going to learn?
We also have
Boy,
from
you get a lot of grades.
He does, yeah.
That's my YouTube crowd, man.
But he doesn't have any cats. I have a cat that gives him a C, C plus from Ella.
Oh.
Sue Fogelman gives him a C minus. Martha Gillespie gives him a C minus. And we have one more over here. Anne Marie gives him a C minus for high fees, but no legal behavior.
And Negan 1, D for don't fall for the scam.
There you go.
Okay,
and
folks.
I'm going to agree with, I say D, because that just was,
all right.
You got to watch yourself
Okay.
walking
Earl?
in that place.
I'm going to say C.
See? Okay, good for you. I'm going to give them an F. And
what?
The reinstall that kit, you can pick it up on Amazon, $18. That's just an example of all these fees, and that's the reason for my grade. Folks.
I'm going to run you for Attorney General.
Okay. I will vote for you.
Anyway, I wear too many hats as it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this Saturday morning. You're a huge part of the show. We appreciate your company.
The whole show.
And go to Amazon.com to get your etch kit for $18.50.
There you go.
It's on Amazon.
You heard it right here. Earl Stewart on Cars.
And you save that right away on your insurance premium, depending on your insurance company.
We're here to save you money. Folks, we'll be right back here Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the cool weather and football.